Welcome, good evening, hello, and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. This is your Saturday night news update live, guys. Coming at you live from the kitchen of my daughter's house, my kid's house. I'm with one of my daughters tonight. She's watching Love Island. I'm proud to say, as a man, I have never ever watched an episode of Love Island ever, and I plan to keep it that way, guys. Plan to keep it that way. I mean, let's face it, it's got to be desperate if you're thinking about it, if you're trying to avoid Love Island on a Saturday night, hasn't it? But yeah, we're here in obviously the kitchen, guys. So obviously not the usual place for recording. We are coming at you live on a Saturday night. Obviously, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share all the content. Look, we've got a few things we're going to go through tonight. We're going to talk about Harry Darling, who it is confirmed that Rangers are genuinely interested in. Centre-back, ex of Swansea. Apparently, one centre-back target, Burgess, the Ipswich defender, has joined Swansea City. He was thought to be a target for Rangers. We've also got a Josh Mulligan update. We're also going to talk a little bit of Hamza as well. Obviously, Hamza is a big story at the moment. We're going to talk about the Rangers goalkeeping situation as well. I want to kind of touch on that a little bit because, you know, it's something that hasn't been mentioned, has it? You know, it hasn't really been talked about, you know, the whole goalkeeping situation. So we are going to talk a little bit of goalkeeping situation as well. Good evening to Janet. Good evening to Coop. Good evening to Alex. Good evening to Ross. Good evening wherever you are watching from tonight. Good evening, Aldo. Hope you are doing well, buddy. Hope all is good wherever you guys are catching the pod tonight. Obviously, please remember to smash the like. Alan Gemmell, what is Love Island? Mate, you do not want to know what Love Island is. It's one of those hideous, horrible reality shows. You don't want to get into one of those, mate. Seriously, don't. Anyway, look, let's talk a little bit of Rangers tonight, shall we? On Saturday night. It's Saturday night, guys. Why are you not all out partying? No, you're in here on a Saturday night with me. Thank you very much for coming on board tonight and joining. Obviously, please smash that like. If you do want to support the channel, remember you can become a member for as little as 99p. Good evening, Malky. How's everything with you, buddy? Long time no see. Malky McClellan, top man. Look, let's start off, shall we, with the news about Harry Darling. Now, obviously, it has been confirmed by the man himself, Mr. Joshua Barry. Rangers Review, so it must be true if Rangers Review are reporting it, because let's face it, they're never wrong, are they? Rangers Review, always right. Rangers Review. Chris Jack always spot on with his analysis as well. Although I do find it really ironic that Hibs fan writes a Rangers newsletter. There you go. Bobby says, can't change every position at the moment. Looking at the poll, as we could get by with Kelly if get good money for Butland. I would disagree, Bobby, that we can get by with Liam Kelly. I personally do not rate Liam Kelly in the slightest. Not as a starting goalkeeper. As a backup, yes. But we'll come to that. We will come to that. Aldo says, hope we're not shopping into the Championship and League One. I want to kind of address that a little bit tonight. Listening to this on a holiday in Austria, says Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear, welcome, mate. Whereabouts in Austria are you? What's the weather like in old Austria? It's been hot all day here in the UK. Well, it has been in England. I don't know about it's probably been raining in Scotland. Alistair in Missouri, how you doing? How's things? Owen versus Derek Clark charity boxing match, says Airwolf. Mate, I'd knock him out in one punch. Anyway, look, we're going to talk about Harry Darling first of all. He is 25 years old. He is 6'2". He's a centre back. Born in Cambridge in England. Swansea City. That's where he is at this moment in time. Although he is currently out of contract. He's previously been with Cambridge, Bishop Stortford, Hampton, and Richmond Borough. Got to say, never heard of half these teams. Royston, East Thurrock. Then he went to MK Dons and Swansea. That is one thing, you know, he has worked with Russell Martin in the past. Russell Martin has signed him twice for his team. Now, like I said, according to Joshua Barry, it is a situation where, we are interested in this guy. This is a guy that is clearly interested in the club. You know, why is Harry Darling interested in the club? Well, he is a guy who can play out from the back. He's a ball-playing centre-half. He's a leader at the back. He's someone who, would fit into the Russell Martin system. And obviously Russell knows him exceptionally well, having bought him twice. Once at MK Dons and once at Swansea City. during his time with MK Dons and with Swansea City, he made 72 appearances, scoring 10 goals for MK Dons, made 60 appearances, scoring 7 goals for Swansea City. Harry Darling, like I said, is a player who, featured a number of times, obviously, for Swansea last season, playing 83% of their starting 11, made 81% of their starting minutes in the EFL Championship. He's a player that has got good Championship experience. And like I said, Russell Martin knows this guy. He's a left-sided centre back. He can play obviously on that left side. Certainly someone who could come in and do a job alongside John Souttar or alongside Connor Cody. I don't think that the Harry Darling move negates the whole Connor Cody move. I think there is still a genuine interest there in Connor Cody. I think there is genuine, a genuine situation there where they could bring both in. They could definitely bring both in. What have we got here? Airwolf says Celtic got O'Reilly from League One. Good point. Aldo RFC says we'll take time because we have improvements needed all over the pitch, which is a great point. We do. Stephen Turner says Butland thinks he's Buffon. Kelly thinks he's Butland. Funny. Ross says sell Liam Kelly and Butland, buy a new goalkeeper and make Munn number 2 goalkeeper. I like your thinking, Ross. I like Mason Munn. I think he's a very good keeper. I'm with you on the new goalkeeper. We can't change all the positions, but if Butland goes, good money, we will buy another. Alan Gemmell says Airwolf, listening to 4 Lads and Rangers review. I'm afraid I've had more exciting nights watching paint dry. That's the thoughts of Alan, guys. Stevie, Derek, that's not my thoughts. That's his thoughts. I don't want you obviously insulting or coming after me. Mays called me paranoid. Feel like it's a new owners, but it's the same ambition. Previous board. Helps me sleep. Love the sound of rain. Also, are you paranoid? Me? No, I'm not paranoid. Hope we are scouting the under-19s tournament. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely worth looking at, Airwolf, isn't it? Look, I mean, Darling looks a player. He looks a decent player. Like I said, he's done it. He's played in the Championship. He's played at, quite a high level in the Championship. He can play centre-back. He can play right-back. He has a good, position variety. Now, he is out of contract on June the 30th this year. So, obviously, no move can go through until the end of this month when he will be free. And you won't have to pay a compensation fee because he's not obviously come through the youth setup at Swansea. He's not a young player like a Cameron or a Barron. He's certainly someone who, again, you're going to get for nothing. You've only got to pay him sign-on fee. You've only got to pay him wages. So, look, at the end of the day, I do think that this Darling lad looks a decent footballer. He looks a good player. Like I said, he fits Russell Martin's system. And, if we're going to kind of look at the situation in terms of, bringing in a player who Russell Martin will feel comfortable with, and Russell Martin can get the best out of, which is someone obviously like Harry Darling. This is something we need to be doing now. Look, whatever you feel on the Russell Martin situation, whether you're really disappointed with the Russell Martin situation, whether you don't want Russell Martin as your manager, whether you do want Russell Martin as the manager, one of the things that comes across is that Russell Martin needs to have his players to play in his system to get the best out of the team. Now, if that means that we go and we get someone like Harry Darling, who's a free transfer, who's only going to cost us sign-on fee and wages, I think that would be a good move. That would be a really good move. And we'll get the Dessers updates in a minute, guys. Don't worry. I'll mention Dessers when I talk about Igerman shortly. But I want to touch on this Harry Darling situation because this is the one that's been talked about tonight. I want to just kind of address, though, this kind of, we don't want Championship players. We don't want these Championship players. Look, I think we've kind of been stung by the fact that in the past, under the old scouting network, with the old board, with the old system, we've kind of bought some shit. We've bought some really bad players from the Championship. We've bought some complete duffers. And that's not down to the fact that all Championship players are bad. That is down to the fact that that within any club, you're going to get, players who are good, players who are bad. And within the Championship, you get players who are good and players who are bad. That's just the way things are, And like I said, I don't think that is all Championship players. I think, it is very unfair to kind of brand all Championship players the same. And I think, what you've got to do is look at it in terms of the new system. The way that the new board and the new football team of Dan Purdy, of Kevin Thelwell are going to work is going to be very different to the old way. We're not going to be signing as many unfit duffers from the Championship that are going to come in and clog up our wage bill and not actually contribute. If you look at the way they work, the 49ers work, they will have a very data-driven sabermetrics style scouting system. They're used to bringing in free agents or these players, that are out of contract. They're used to going and signing or trading in America, it is, for players. They know how to get things done, but they use data and data analysis as a big part of this. And this is something I think they will do. Now, Harry Darling is clearly someone who's passed the data analysis test. He passes the eye test for Russell Martin. And like I said, Russell Martin needs his own players in if we're going to get the best out of him, whatever you think about Russell Martin as manager, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. He's here, at least for next season. I can't see him being sacked at Christmas. I think he will get the full season. So look, I think we've been stung in the past. Now, to brand all Championship players duffers or rubbish or whatever like that and say, I don't want players from the Championship, I think is a little bit short-sighted, because the EFL Championship is a vastly stronger league to the Scottish Premier League. There are a lot of very good teams in that league. It is a very, very competitive league, and it's probably one of the strongest leagues in Europe. And it's the Championship. It's the second tier of English football. Yeah, it's probably stronger than Ligue 1, apart from PSG. It's probably stronger than the Belgian Super League. It's probably stronger than the Portuguese league. It's an exceptionally strong league. So, the players that play in the Championship get a good level of test. They get a good level of competition. And if you get the right players from the Championship, I don't think you're going to be stung the same way that with Ben Davies, with Kieran Dowell, Kemar Roof to some degree. It's not going to happen, guys. And I think we need to get away from this kind of the Championship players are all shit, because they're not. It's quite clearly an absolute load of bollocks to say that. KF says, replacing Butland has to be a replacement if he goes. Kelly is okay, but he can't be number one. Would love to see Mun as number two next season, play in the early cup games. That's a good shout. What else we got? I back Martin. All I can do is support him. Just don't like Tav as captain or even staying. Like, I want to try and stay away from the whole Tav debate tonight. I get enough shit over Tav. RM must be having a say on targets. Airwolf, he will. I mean, Kevin Thelwell's already kind of spelled that out, that, Russell Martin will have an input, that he will have a view, that he will get, he will be listened to when it comes to players. So there we go. Bobby Finley says, is it Fabianski that's free goalkeeper from West Ham? He would be, mate, but Fabianski's about 50, isn't he? Darling sounds better than what we have. Alex Kennedy, I think you're spot on, mate. He is. He's better than, he's further on in his career than Nsiala is. Nsiala might be a better player in 2 to 3 years' time. He's better than Leon King. He's probably better than John Suter. And I'm a massive John Suter fan, so, there we go. Martin better put a better defence than his last club, says Malky. See how Championship and League One could be good markets if scouting is done right. Airwolf, that's my point. My God, Airwolf, we're actually agreeing on something and not arguing. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. It has to be. If you get your scouting right and you find the right players, you can get players from any league. Looks can be deceiving, says Stephen Fay. True, that's why you look at stats. Michael Beale went wrong. His first mistake was keeping the defence the same. Look, I mean, I agree with that one with all day. You've got to build from the back. You've got to build your team from the back. If you look at the great Rangers teams of the past, built from the back. If you look at Graham Souness, what did he do? He bought Chris Woods. He bought Gary Stevens. He bought Terry Butcher. He built from the back. And that's got to be the way to go, hasn't it? I think he will get 2 seasons after all. Take time to get the dead wood out, says Aldo. Anyone think there's any truth in Mulligan spitting the dummy out because he's got guaranteed a regular gig next season? We'll come to that one in a minute. Fans need to get used to the fact that this is now a business run by businessmen. The old Rangers way is finished. Exciting times ahead. Alan, that's spot on. This is a club now run by businessmen. This is not a club run by, supporters. It's not a club run by everything, by 1970s businessmen who are running the club because they're alleged fans. This is run by businessmen who want to run the club in the right way, and that's the way this club is going, and that's the way it has to go. Aldo says keep Raskin, however good money, sell him. Look, we can touch on Raskin in a bit. Prime time, I've got the same vibe, but we'll hold off judge on our recruitment. Correct. Hey Owen and everyone, hi Liz, sorry I completely forgot to send you the link, been so busy, sorry, I will get killed for that. Airwolf, how many are worried about playing out from the back? Airwolf, I think we all are. And I think there will be mistakes early on. Like with any new system, mate, the moment you bring in a new system, the moment you bring in any sort of new system, there's going to be mistakes made because players not used to it. It takes time to bed in a system. You've only got to look at, other clubs when they've changed the way they play to the mistakes, that go on. So there will be mistakes early on. Of course, there'll be mistakes early on. Of course, there will. Christian, hello, Owen. Chat, hello, Christian. How are you? HSV symbol, got a Hamburg fan there. Welcome, buddy. Obviously, Hamburg and Rangers, big connection there. Not a Hamburg fan myself, but there we go. Do have a softness for one German team, but obviously it's not Hamburg. Club was run like a charity shop. Airwolf, good point, mate. It was run like it was the 1970s, 1980s. To be honest with you, it was run by, I don't know if you've ever seen The Damned United. And the Derby County chairman in that, who's, it was run like, to me, it was probably run like that. Absolute fucking joke. Heard he could go for 25 million, but wouldn't take less. That's talking about Nicholas Raskan. But, on this, most teams won't high press us, but Celtic will, correct. And I think that's probably the game where you may need to adapt your style a little bit against them. KF says, pains me to say this, but other than them lot, the rest of the teams in Scotland are nowhere near as good as the EFL Championship, has better teams than 50% of the Europa League. I'd agree with that, mate. You've only got to look at the EFL Championship in terms of the teams that are in the EFL Championship now. If you look at, the table last year, you've got Leeds United, massive club, Burnley, ex-Premier League, Sheffield United, ex-Premier League, Sunderland, ex-Premier League, Coventry City, bunch of arseholes, Bristol City, don't know a great deal about them, Blackburn, former champions of England, Millwall, West Brom, regular Premier League club, Middlesbrough, former regular Premier League club, Swansea, played in the Premier League, Sheffield Wednesday, former regular Premier League club, Norwich City, former regular Premier League club, Watford, ex-Premier League club, QPR, ex-Premier League club, Portsmouth, ex-Premier League club, Stoke City, Derby County. These are all ex-Premier League clubs that are in there that, that have got proud traditions. These are good teams. Celtic would got 3 or 4 million for Lammers. Yeah, they would. And I think that's one of the things we've got to address, isn't it? How bad our business is. Our business is shocking. The way we do business has been shocking. And I think now we'll see a change in that. We'll see owners who, I think part of the issue, Airwolf, in the past may have been, though, that we needed to sell. That we had to sell. We had no choice. We had to sell because at the end of the day, we needed the money because, we were 17 million pound in debt and we were, 70 million pound in debt constantly. And we're having to sell players to kind of get rid of the wages. And, if you look at when Clement came in, he was told, cut the wage bill, cut the wage bill, cut the wage bill. Whereas now we've got owners that will come in and, they're not going to bang on about cutting the wage bill all the time, and we don't need the money. So they can hold out for the right fee. They can hold out for the correct fee. I mean, if you go back to last summer, the money that we got for the likes of Lammers and Cantwell and Goldson was an absolute travesty. It was absolutely disgusting. Chris Brown says, how much are we selling Dessers for? Reportedly £5 million, which is a decent £500,000 profit on a aging player. Christian says the German team better not be St. Pauli, Owen. Christian, no, it's not, mate. Borussia Dortmund. Let's hope these days are behind us, correct? That's why I think the Conference League is going to be dominated by Premier League clubs. It will be. The 49ers are going to make Rangers great again. Let's hope so. Hate to be a doomer, but don't see us getting Champions League football. I will touch on, I don't want to speak about that tonight, Errol, but I will do something on that shortly. Getting 5 million for Dessers is just about fine for someone who'll never win titles and trophies at Rangers. Correct. In hindsight, was Clement giving a bad hand? I think, look, I don't think that it's all down to that. And I don't really want to talk about Clement tonight, Airwolf, but Clement, I think, suffered from the fact that he was tactically inept, that he was too stubborn, etc., etc. Really do. Goldson, glad he was a nightmare in defence. He wasn't originally, although he became a nightmare in defence the older he got. That's the issue. 49ers won't low ball, says Bobby. No, they won't, mate. No, they won't. So just to conclude the old Harry Darling kind of talk that we've been having, look, I think he's a good player. He's, like I said, he's someone that Rangers are interested in. He's someone that, the club is looking for. Singing the blues, how you doing, buddy? He is someone that I think that would be a very, very good signing. there's 3 other Championship clubs that are allegedly interested in Harry Darling that are pushing to try and sign him. Obviously, the hope that obviously Russell Martin has signed him twice previously, and that he has obviously probably a very good relationship with Russell Martin. Hopefully it will stand us in good stead in terms of securing this player. Like I said, he's 6'2", he's a big player. I think he could do a decent job. He was in terms of what Russell Martin actually thinks of him. Russell Martin said this. He said he's very young and hungry, and he possesses all the attributes you need to play at the top. In my opinion, it's up to us to help unlock those. He's got athleticism, mentality, technical ability, and first and foremost, he's an excellent character. Obviously Russell Martin thinks very highly of him. So, look, Harry Darling to Rangers, look, bring it on, mate. Bring it on. I don't think he can do any worse. And I think, look, whatever we think we know about football, and we all have an opinion, and we're all entitled to an opinion on the game. You know what? Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy, the scouts, they know more than we do because they have the data, they watch these players, they have time to watch these players, not just on YouTube. Look, we all do it. I perhaps do find time occasionally to watch games, but, we all watch YouTube videos, we all read stuff, but these guys are professionals. It's what they do. And I think, we've been stung by the previous regimes and the shit scouting that's gone on. We've got to give the scouts the chance, I think, to get this right. Others were still traumatised by the last Champions League campaign. Who isn't? Bobby says this might work with players leaving, some to come in, etc. We've got to get the signings correct. We have got to get the signings correct. We have 100% got to get the signings correct. YouTube players, mate. Yeah, they do, Airwolf. Mate, seriously, you can probably find YouTube clips on even the world's worst footballers that make them look half decent. You probably really genuinely can. But look, like I said, we've got to trust Dan Purdy. We've got to trust Kevin Thelwell. We've got to trust the Scouts network that I'm sure they've put in place. It's got to be there. Look, in terms of the targets, I don't know who the targets are, because there's a new target list. We know that. One of the things that obviously happened is that Niels Koppen left. Niels Koppen's gone, right? Okay, so we can forget him. Now, it appears that the target list that he drew up has been ripped up, thrown out, and got rid of. So, Burgess obviously was one. He signed for Swansea today. Now, apparently, Rangers have today, dropped interest in Josh Mulligan, the Dundee right back. Apparently now they are no longer interested, as he was a Niels Koppen target. He was not a target for Thelwell and Purdy. Therefore, apparently there will be no medical, there will be no signing. Josh Mulligan is not a player that interests Rangers in the slightest. Now, I don't know how this affects the whole situation with the right back room. I don't know if Russell Martin thinks that he's got enough with Tav and Sterling. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do, because I don't. I don't have an in with them. I don't, talk to Dan Purdy, unfortunately. I don't talk to Kevin Thelwell, unfortunately. But we know now that the Josh Mulligan thing is dead. That is done. He's not coming. We're not interested. We don't want him. I'm not pretending that it wouldn't have been a good signing. He looks a very good footballer. He looks a decent player. He can play right midfield. He can play right back. He can play centre midfield. He's strong. He's quick. He's athletic. So it looks like, that's kind of dead. Now, as Airwolf says, Koppen was on the right track for signing Scottish talent. That was something that I think that was said at the start, that the club would obviously try and bring in 1 to 2 Scottish players every single season, young Scottish players. I don't think that the present regime will move away from that. I still think they will. It's just that they don't see Josh Mulligan as a player that they want anymore. Ross says, when do you think we'll start to see players coming in, because time is getting on? I think it'll be next couple of weeks, mate. I think next couple of weeks we'll start to see some movement in the transfer market, especially if Dessers goes to Ajax Athens in the next couple of days. I think then we'll start to see some movement. KF says, would prefer to see us compete in the Europa League. Yes, I'm biased, but I think we can win it. I would prefer that overhanging around the UCL at present, but would love that to change in 3 years. Look, I said I will talk about the Champions League and the Europa League. I don't want to particularly get into that tonight. I think For me personally, I don't want to be in the Europa League this season. I genuinely don't. We need to be in the Champions League. Whether we get there or not is another one. But for me, we've got to play Champions League football. The Europa League is just, it's chicken feed compared to that. And if we want to truly compete at the highest level and truly compete with that lot across the city, we need Champions League money. You know, at the end of the day, you are looking at making 3 times what you make in the Europa League minimum. And honestly, people who come out and say, well, the Europa League's our standard, it makes me sick. It genuinely makes me want to throw up because it's a lack of ambition. May says that's a pity. Mulligan would have been a good start. I think he would have been, mate. I really do. But it does appear that one is now dead and won't happen. And the Rangers have pulled out of it. That they're not interested in him. I think he was a because he was a Coppen target, that has kind of gone by the buy, hasn't it? It's kind of ended. When's the Champions League draw? I'll find out for you, mate. I know it's soon. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Accept all. First qualifying round takes place on Tuesday the 17th of June. When does the second qualifying round take place? I don't know. That's a good question. I know it's not long after that. It's in June anyway. It's coming up. It's this month, mate. It's this month. I'll get the date for you and I'll put it on the video tomorrow morning. I don't want to particularly spend time Googling it now. Can't spend 20 million till the share issue in 28th, but surely 17.4 from Europa is there. Bobby, it's not 20 million on players. That's 20 million initial investment. That's not for players, mate. David McLaren says, I genuinely believe Butland's blunders cost us massively. Since his kid was born, he just started making amateur mistakes. That cost us massively. It took far too long for Kelly to be given the call. Yeah, he did seem to go to pieces, didn't he, Butland, after his kid was born? Yeah. Airwolf says, the way Champions League is structured now would give us a better chance to compete. Correct. Look at Celtic. They qualified for the knockout stages of the Champions League, and they're not even any better than us. So, you know, there's always chance there. There's always a chance there. Airwolf says, hope we don't make the Lennon Miller mistake that we made with James Wilson. Good shout. Paul Robertson says, Owen in chat, can someone please tell me why so many fans are jumping on the bandwagon of bringing back former players as coaches to help Martin? I think it's because of the fact, Robert, that there's a talk that the owners and Martin want somebody with Rangers connections, wants a Rangers man, wants somebody who knows the club, wants somebody who can help the players acclimatise to the club. That's why, mate. That's why. I think that's why we're seeing so many former players linked with a coaching role. Maurice Ross obviously been the latest. Bluebells are blue. Welcome, buddy. Poku deal is apparently done. That would be good news, wouldn't it? He's a quality player. Second round draw is in July. There we go. Thank you very much, Robert Paul, for finding that one out for me. That's great. Thank you for that. I don't know about the Poku deal, mate. I haven't read anything. I've actually, you know what? I've been at work all day. I started work at 6 a.m. this morning. I finished work about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I've been at work for a long time. So I haven't had a chance to read a lot today. I hope it's not Maysmith, says Mays. Hopefully Poco can put the ball straight in the pokey. Could shout. Sleekit says, Rangers Review is saying that we're only getting 2 to 3 million euros for Dessers. Shocking if true. That is shocking if true. I'll try and do a bit of digging, try and find out some more. But as I said, Sleekit, don't believe everything Rangers Review tell you, because let's face it, Chris Jack did tell us that the next Rangers manager would have no links to Rangers. Well, sorry, but forgive me, but Russell Martin has links to Rangers. Just saying. We need the best coaches, not Rangers men, for the sake of Rangers men. Agreed, Airwolf. I 100% agree with you. Maurice Ross is a very highly thought of coach there. That's the only thing I will say on that one. Monday will hopefully be revealing. Let's hope things start to happen. Obviously, now we're in the weekend, things will slow down. Hoping they give Kelly the number 1 next season. He's proven to calm the whole defence down and bring stability. David, we're going to talk goalkeeper situation. Personally, David, I am not a Liam Kelly fan. I do not rate him in the slightest. Sid says hello from Toronto. Charles says, what's Poku's best position? He's a right winger, mate. He plays right wing. He's a left-footed right winger like Tierney. To many players constantly being linked to Rangers, and we always end up scrambling to get anyone on time. Yeah. David Edgar, I love David Edgar. I've got to say, Heart and Hand, I listen to Heart and Hand. I love Heart and Hand. David Edgar's been amazing. He's fantastic. David Edgar is an absolute star. The guy is full of credibility. I'm full of respect for David Kelly. I will not have anyone say, David Edgar, sorry. I will not have anything said bad about David Edgar in the slightest. Love that guy to bit. Love that guy. Big Dave says, "Oh, I've got to say, we've got to love a Big Dave. What Rangers man? Want Rangers man because we are spoiled by Barry's blood and thunder pressers. Can't go back to not having that fire on the coaching staff again. Pokey will be an exciting signing. He would certainly be an exciting signing. He would 100% be an exciting signing." Sorry, not Rangers review. Some on the nose on Rangers media. Yeah, Sleeker. I don't know, mate. We'll look into it. We'll certainly look into it, buddy. Guys, 170 people watching. Please all smash the like, obviously. Please drop a comment. Obviously, subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel. Right, let's talk goalkeepers. Let's talk about goal. We'll talk about Hamza. We'll talk about all that shit in a bit. Okay? But let's talk about goalkeepers, shall we? Right, what's going on with the goalkeeping situation? Because, look, I get 100% understand that you read the media and the media report the sexy stories, don't they? They report the sexy stories. They make shit up. They always make shit up because they know they'll get clicks. That's the way it works. And we're all guilty of it. All fan media, all media are guilty of it at times. I've done it. You got to pay the bills, guys. You got to pay the bills. But look, at the end of the day, what's going on with the goalkeeping situation? Because look, you look at it like this. At the moment, the goalkeeping situation at Rangers is that we've got Jack Butland, we've got Liam Kelly, and we've got Mason Munn, Lewis Baldonakis. That's where we're at this moment in time. They're the 4 goalkeepers currently on the books. At the moment, there's been no links to any goalkeepers. There's been nothing there at all. Now, whether this is because Rangers are waiting to see what happens with Butland, what happens with Kelly, whether clubs come in for them and whether they do sell, that's obviously the situation. So, look, where are we up to with this? Now, Airwolf makes a great point. He says Butland can't play Martin's style, and that's one of the things that has been a concern. Now, I don't really mention this guy, but if you take Joe Hart, for example. Joe Hart, I know, ex-Celtic, absolute scumbag. But when he was at Manchester City, he was a decent goalkeeper at Manchester City. He won league titles. He was England international. He was a good goalkeeper. But Pep Guardiola came in, and Pep Guardiola said, "You know what? You can't play out from the back. You can't. You just can't do it. So you're gonna have to go." And he got rid of him. And he brought in Edison. He brought in the other guy, I can't remember the guy's name now, Ortega, is it? He brought in goalkeepers that could play out from the back. And I think where we are at this moment in time is that we look at Butland, and Butland can't play out from the back. He's not good with his feet. He's not good at building the passing game from the back. I mean, even some of his clearances end up being shanked. And Bluebells is right. He's a shot stopper, not much else. He's not great on crosses, etc., etc. Now, Liam Kelly is slightly better with his feet, so he is better at distribution with his feet. He does have that element to his game, but he's a bit Dracula on crosses. He's an average shot stopper. He's a backup. That's what Liam Kelly is. And look, I've got nothing against Liam Kelly. I like the lad, I really do. But if we go into next season with Liam Kelly as our number 1 goalkeeper, we have got big problems, big issues. Jack Butland, I think, can't play in this system. And he, I think, has too many doubters now. He has lost the confidence of the supporters. Now, obviously, this could all change. Russell Martin may come in, may see that at the end of the day that he can get more out of Butland, that he can develop Butland, that he can make him a better goalkeeper. That may be the situation. But realistically, looking at it, I can't see Butland playing well enough and being good enough for fitting this system, and that's a concern. Now, if we're going to start talking, Liam Kelly being the next goalkeeper next season, then you might as well talk about Andre Onana. Andre Onana was brought in by Manchester United because he's good with his feet, but he's absolutely shite at shot stopping, absolutely shite at crosses, but he can play out with his feet. Yeah, but he's crap. He's absolute crap. Let's have a quick look at some comments that have come through in the last few minutes. Why spend money on a new goalkeeper? I would spend on a new defender. Sid, I get you, mate. And I think it may depend on whether Butland goes or not as to whether we sign a goalkeeper. Kelly no good enough for number one. Never seen Munn. Says Janet. Well, he played, I think, against Fraserburgh, was it? Butland done well in the darts. Ramsdale, Butland and Kelly would be good three goalkeepers. Put Munn out on loan. I want to touch on Aaron Ramsdale. We definitely need a new number one keeper. Kelly is perfectly adequate number two. This is the point I'm making. For me, Liam Kelly is just a number two. He's nothing else. He is only a number two. He's not a starting goalkeeper. He isn't good enough to be a starting goalkeeper. Not for Rangers anyway. Butland's a shot stopper, not much else to be honest. Shot stoppers are 10 a penny nowadays. We need a lot better. Butland's distribution and command of his area is fairly poor, says Bluebells. And this is the point we're making. If nobody wants Butland, he will be here next season. Good point. We're stuck with Tav, aren't we? I mean, the poll that is currently ongoing, guys, 29% of you say that Butland should be number one, 15% say Kelly, 4% say Munn, and 52% of you are saying a new goalkeeper. Airwolf says Fabianski can play out from the back, maybe a short-term answer. Butland wouldn't be highlighted if we had two good centre-backs. That's a good shout. It could be that. Kelly, Munn and Butland are all hopeless with the ball at their feet. We need a new first choice, says Sleekit. Bluebell says Kelly is just too short. That is his main issue. He's fine as a backup, but he can't be our number one. We need a new goalkeeper, 100%. Xander Clark says we are the people. Interesting shout. We are the people. Me too, but they might not want to sell him us. Bazanu is Rangers' type of goalkeeper. He'd cost 8 to 10 million. Greg says 100% Ramsdale. Whichever's our new keeper who we can afford. Look, Bluebell's great point. Look, Ramsdale has been linked, and I get, the reason he's been linked. He's been linked because Russell Martin signed him from Southampton. He's reportedly wanting to leave Southampton. He doesn't want to stay there next season. He reportedly wants a move. But look, realistically, 27-year-old Aaron Ramsdale is not an option for Rangers, right? He's not going to come to Rangers, right? He will be inundated, first of all, with offers from England. That's the first thing, okay? This is a guy who's, been in England international, and I think, probably feels that he could be an England international again. His value is between 10 and 14 million pounds. There is absolutely no way on God's green earth that Rangers are going to pay 10 to 14 million pounds for a goalkeeper. So that's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And Ramsdale is under contract at Southampton as well. That's another situation. So you look at that. He's under contract until 2028. So he's going to cost a lot of money. And as people are saying in the live chat, he's on 120 grand a week. He's going to want something similar. Look, I think all the media reports saying that Aaron Ramsdale is a target for Rangers are absolute bollocks. They're not true. He's not going to come. Not a chance. Not a chance. Alan Austin says Martin Jedlicka on a free. Victoria Plitzen goalkeeper, but Butterhands must be removed first. David Raya is very small for a keeper, but he's probably been the best keeper in the Prem for the last 2 years. Says Ian White, he is. But Raya is good on crosses. He's good with his feet. He's a good shot stopper. Raya's got all the attributes. He can play out from the back. That's why Raya's worth 60, 70 million. Raya's quality, absolute quality. He's not the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, but he is a very good goalkeeper. I can see our starting defence in Champions League qualifying 2 in July being Butland, Tav, Suter, Davis and Sihala. Jeff Tay, sorry, but that's shocking. That is bad, Sleekit. Please don't depress me. It's been a long day. Rangers will have 10 players on his wage. Yeah, true. No chance have Rangers got that kind of wage to pay any player. No, I agree, John. I don't think Ramsdale is realistic. Look, I don't want Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn is Poppadom hands. He's crap. Mitov should push to leave the sheep if Rangers' interest is confirmed. Look, I'd love to get Mitov. Mitov's a good goalkeeper, mate. It's a great point. Mitov is a very good goalkeeper, but the kind of worry for me there is that he plays for the sheep. Now, we all know the sheep hate Rangers. So because the sheep hate Rangers, is that going to be a situation where they're going to say, hey, we're not going to sell to you? Not a chance will we sell to you. So that is a worry. That is a concern. I mean, look, personally speaking, I'd like him. He'd be a great goalkeeper. for the club. I think he would be very, very good for the club. So yeah, definitely. KF says Ramsdale's wages are too high. I prefer if we can only sell Kelly, keep Butland, but coach him to be under the new system. Make Munn number 2. I've got to say, I do like Mason Munn. I think Mason Munn is a very good goalkeeper. I don't know if any of you have seen anything of Mason Munn. I've watched a little bit of the under-18s and the B team, and Munn is quality. He is a very good goalkeeper. Mason Munn is someone who attracted interest from Arsenal, from Chelsea, from Manchester City. He's been looked at by top Premier League clubs, so he's a very good keeper. We should look at Man City B team for goalkeeper. They'll be playing as a sweeper for Pep. Good point. Mulligan is doubtful. Wage offered to him isn't as good as options in England. Josh Mulligan's not coming, Alan. That's the fact. Okay, so that's been said tonight that the Rangers don't have any interest in Josh Mulligan anymore. That there is zero interest in Josh Mulligan. That is a dead deal. It is not going to happen at all. So yeah, that's done, mate. That's done. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen now. But yeah, look, on the goalkeeping situation, you know, Rangers have historically always had great goalkeepers, haven't we? You know, we really have. We've had, you know, Chris Woods, we've had Stefan Kloss, we've had Andy Gorham, we've had Alan McGregor. You know, we've had some fantastic goalkeepers, some absolute superstars. So, you know, we do need to look at something in this transfer window. And whether that, like I said, is someone like Mitov from Aberdeen or, you know, someone like that, you know, who knows? Colin Ritchie says we need 2 centre-backs, right back, a left back, 2 wingers and a striker. That's just for starters. We need the dross out of the club. Proper, Matondo, Cifuentes, Davis, Dow, King. That's just a few who need to be removed. Decent list. You forgot Tav. I hear Proper is looking to get a big payout then to leave. That's why he hasn't signed to Twente, says Sleekit. I'd heard something different on that. I will touch on that. Munn didn't do great in the darts. Munn should be our number 1, not Rangers. I mean Northern Ireland. There we go. He shit at darts though, Mason Munn. Who cares? So did Ryan Jack and Connor Barron. Fuck the sheep. Yeah, I mean, Janet, you good point. But, you know, the problem is, like I said, the sheep will always charge us more money, won't they? I watched a lot of Munn. Haven't seen a keeper with his potential for many years. We've had a few decent young keepers. He needs to play, so he must go on loan. Bluebells, you're spot on, mate. He is a very good goalkeeper. Superb goalkeeper. Aberdeen will be left with an unhappy player if they don't entertain the idea. True, Mays. Good point. I'd push. I mean, he's a decent player. We don't know if that's, you know, we don't know what the situation. But I just feel that with the goalkeeping situation, we do need to look at it. You know, we do need to look at it. Birmingham don't want Davies or Dow. We really need to shift all our Deadwood, Matondo, etc. Interested. Pete McCloy, fuck's sake, showing my age, not an idea of a goalkeeper. Yeah, he's a goalkeeper, mate. Alan Austin, superb goalkeeper, wasn't he? Bring him back. Probably could do better than some of our keepers now. But yeah, let's look at this. Let's look at this situation. We do need to address this goalkeeping situation. We kind of need some clarity on this. I mean, personally, I don't think Butland has a future at the club. I think he's lost too much. You know, he's lost the confidence of the fans. He's lost a lot of confidence. He's going to need a major rebuild. I do worry about Butland going forward. I don't rate Liam Kelly as a starting goalkeeper, so I do think it's a position we do need to address. But like I said, nothing has come out yet. You know, there we go. Papa wants to wait until they return from his holidays to speak to Martin, see if he has a future. Fee agreed with the Dutch club, just about what gets said between him and Martin now. Yeah, I mean, I had heard that the deal had kind of stopped because of that he was obviously speaking to Russell Martin about his future and whether he had a future at the club, that he likes the sound of Russell Martin, likes how Martin plays football. You know, so it looks like that deal has kind of stalled at the moment whilst people talk it through. I have a fear we're only getting 2 to 3 new players. I think Martin has said he can get the job done with the Duffers, probably why he got the gig. Maybe, mate. Skeggy Bear says Poku looks good, would be a good replacement for Cherney. I agree on that one, mate. He would be a very good replacement for Cherney. He does look good. But yeah, the goalkeeping situation for me, like I said, is one we do need to address, and we need to look at it. You know, and as Errol says, this is the thing. Because we're going to play out from the back, you need a goalkeeper who's good with his feet, a goalkeeper who can hold the ball, a goalkeeper who can play out from the back, a goalkeeper who can pass from the back. You know, that's a big one, isn't it? That's a big one. So Butland can't do that, and that's a worry about him. And Kelly, whilst he's good with his feet, isn't as good on crosses, isn't good at shot stopping. He's kind of like the poor man's Andre Onana, isn't he? And Andre Onana's shite. So, you know, where do we go? We do need to look at this. And And for me, there needs to be some clarity on the situation. 100% needs to be some clarity on the situation. Birmingham interested in Harry Darling. Yeah, he is. There are 3 championship clubs interested. Welcome, Bluebells. Become a Nation loyal member. Thank you very much, Bluebells, for becoming a member. Remember, members are just 99p, so please obviously join. Thank you for that. Matt says we need to get players in soon as the Champions League qualifier is not too far off. Correct. I don't know, Ross. Not interested in his testimonial in the slightest. Airwolf, Butland with the ball at their hands. Oh no. And Ciala is our best defender for playing out from the back. He is good at playing out from the back, and you never know. Russell might be able to get some out of him this season. He might be able to develop him and coach him and improve him. You never know. Colin Ritchie says, Butland cannot play out from the back. I'll be watching the games through my fingers if that's the case. True. Is Ben Davis 3 times better than Proper for his weekly wages? Didn't even know my subattendant. There you go. Alan, yeah, good one, mate. Look, Ben Davis, for me, is no worse than Robin Proper. Robin Proper's pretty poor, mate. So, yeah. Bluebells, I've heard that, but it's just ruse by his agent to not look like bad guy demanding money to leave. 20 can't cover his wages, so he wants Rangers to make up the difference. Well, that doesn't happen. We don't do that anymore. Exactly why we need a defence. So we are looking at the rest of the team, like you said, build from the back. We do need to build from the back, Graham, 100%. And I think the defence... Look, like I said, at the end of the day, you've got to look at it this way. You've got to build from the back. Goalkeeper, centre-backs, full-backs, build a defence. Graham Souness, when he came to the club, first thing he's doing, Gary Stevens, Terry Butcher, Chris Woods, build from the back. That's succinct there regarding Man United to no one. Yeah, I mean, shit, isn't he? No, absolute fucking crap. 3 times the wages, Proper decent in Europe. Proper is good in Europe. Yeah, he is good in Europe. He's crap in Scotland, though. That's the big worry, isn't it? We can't just keep players just for Europe. We haven't got that kind of money. And even with the new owners, we still haven't got that kind of money just to have players who just play in Europe. It's not going to happen. But I wanted to kind of try and get your thoughts and feelings on the goalkeeping situation, because to me, the goalkeeping situation is one that does need to be addressed 100%. Final poll results. Let's have a look at these final poll results. New goalkeeper 50%, Butland 29%, Kelly 14%, Mason Munn 457 votes. Thank you for your Graham Roberts. Yeah, Gibby 100%. Great buy. Top man. Guys, obviously 152 watching. Please smash that like and subscribe if you've not yet subscribed. Remember also you can support the channel with super chats and super stickers. Thank you very much. In anticipation, guys. Thank you. Okay, right. Look, let's talk a bit of Hamza, shall we? Let's kind of bring this together a little bit of Hamza. So, there's a lot of talk about Hamza Riggerman. And the rumour that's been put out there is that Rangers would accept 15 million. Not 15 million pounds. Let's get this cleared up. There's been a lot of misconceptions around this. The rumour is that the Rangers would accept 15 million pounds. It's not 15 million pounds, it's 15 million euros. Okay, so 15 million euros is 12.7 million pounds, which to me is underselling. I would be looking for 15 to 20 million for Hamza. Pounds sterling, not euros, pounds sterling. Now, you look at the clubs he's been linked with. So he's been linked with French clubs. For me, I don't see the logic in this. I know he speaks French, but I don't see the logic in going to Rennes, into Lens, into Lille. To me, that's a backward step. Why would you... What do I think about Leeds keeper Meslier? Alex, have you seen him? Ask a Leeds fan what they think of Meslier. He's absolute dog shit. He lets the ball through him. He is appalling. I wouldn't even take him on loan. Genuinely wouldn't. So I don't think we should be selling to French clubs, because to me that makes no sense. That's a backward step. To me, Matt Gunner says 12.5 million for a guy that can't dislodge Dessers. I don't think it would. Matt, I want to just kind of bring some on this one. I don't think it was that he couldn't dislodge Dessers. I just think that Barry Bassett didn't want to play him for the middle for some unknown reason and wanted to play him on the wing because he somehow had this love affair with Dessers. I think it's not that he couldn't dislodge him. I think had he played him there, he'd have scored more goals than Dessers would have done. I honestly believe that. Abdel Bakar, 10 years younger than Balogun, knows Hadji and Hamza, Moroccan CB, out of contract. Look at him. Okay, I'll have a good look at him. Abdel Bakar. Not going to get any other crap on that, am I? You'll be careful of these names you Google and they look like that. Look, on the Hamza situation, I honestly don't. Personal opinion is we shouldn't sell Hamza. Okay, that's my personal opinion, right? We shouldn't sell him. I honestly believe with Hamza, if in 12 to 18 months' time, he's had regular first team football and he's been played as a striker, as a number 9, then you'll see the best of Hamza and you'll start to see his value increase. And then you'll be looking at 20 to 25 million pounds for the player. Now, I know that there is this worry that, that he might not work out, but I don't think that's a real concern. I think he's a very good footballer. You've got to look at him. He holds the ball up well. His skill is very good. He can take a player on. He can score a goal under pressure in pressure situations, something Cyril Dessers didn't do. Dessers didn't score a lot of goals when it actually mattered, when the game was on the line. Hamza does. Spurs, Europa League, Celtic, Parkhead, Nice. He scores goals. For me, Hamza played as a 9, used regularly as a 9. I think he's good enough to lead the line. Would score 25 plus goals in this league. In the league, not in the Cup or the Europa League. In the league, he'd get 25 plus. Better than the pathetic 18 that Dessers got. And I think he'd score a lot more. I think he'd be a lot better bet. And then in 12 to 18 months, he's worth a shit ton more money. Now, he has been linked with Premier League clubs. That's always a concern. The moment you get a Premier League club interested in one of your players, it turns heads because it's a Premier League club. But we shouldn't be selling to these French clubs. That would be massively, massively wrong. David says, Hamza would stand half a chance if they played him as a number 9 rather than playing him out on the left wing. Exactly, 100%. They ruined the Fabio Silva experiment by playing him left wing. They ruined Hamza by playing him left wing. And I think what Barry Ferguson was hoping for, by playing 2 strikers, you'd get the Danilo-Hamza combination. Now, if you go back to the turn of the year, when Clement seemed to accidentally stumble across having Hamza and Danilo on the pitch together, that it worked because they interchanged positions really, really well. And yes, Hamza did play on the left at times, but at that point, Danilo was in the middle, and Danilo would more likely go left, and Hamza would go middle, and it worked. Dessers wouldn't move. He would just want to stay in the middle. So that didn't work. You couldn't play Dessers and Hamza together. They just couldn't work together. Scott's Viking says, I hope you also put a sell on. Yeah, you've got to. With Hamza, you've got to. And I think that's something you'll start to see. More and more clubs are doing this now. It's something Rangers need to start to do. Scott's Viking, I agree with you, mate. 20% sell-on clause in his contract, so that when he goes for even more money in 2-3 years' time, we get a sell-on. 100% agree. If the 2 signings are not here by Monday, we riot. Funny. Remember what we done with Morelos and Kent. Fuck all for them. Very true. Ibrahim Abdel on the left wing. Return for the Pyramids guy. Okay. Igman, if out, scored Dessers. Same as fit Danilo if played the games. I agree. Like I said on the video this morning, I think Danilo gets a very harsh write-up by some fans. And I think you can't judge him because he never got the game time, because Barry Bassett wouldn't play him. Barry generally thought he was a contender for the gig. That's why he persisted with Dessers. Yeah, I agree, Maze. You are spot on. Barry was so selfish. He should have been told at the start, you have fuck all chance of getting this job. You are here to help us look for players for next season. Stop being a wally. Bluebell says, we're so scared from losing out on other players in the past. Some fans are panic selling Hamza after 1 season. Give the boy another season. As long as he plays, he could break transfer records. I agree. I don't think we should sell him for 15 million. That would be ridiculous. If we were to sell Hamza for 15 million euros, not pounds, euros, it would be an absolute disgrace. I think he drops deep and drifts into the left a bit too much to be considered as an out-and-out 9. Maybe a false 9, says Charles. We played decent football when Danilo and Hamza played up front together. We actually played good attacking football. I mean, if there was a bit of 15 million from any club, the young man will leave right now. We need to build a whole new squad. Sadly, that's every penny. Yeah, Colin, 15 million pounds would not be as big of an issue. 15 million euros would be an issue. It's 12.7 million. It's not enough. Hamza and Vardy, that would be a decent shout. We need wingers next season. Cherney was great but unrealistic. True, Alan, that's why I think Poku is more realistic. We probably owe the Moroccan club at least 20% of any sale as well. Yeah, there's probably a sell-on for Rabat. Yeah, I agree on that one, probably is. Hamza has to stay. We should try and get Danilo out on loan. I don't think we should seek it. I think we need to keep him in the squad. We haven't got a big enough squad to start sending players like Danilo out on loan. I really can't stand Vardy, to be honest. I don't like him either singing the blues. I've seen him, and I've actually seen him in person, and he's an absolute prick. Danilo's injuries were impact injuries. They weren't muscle injuries. His face was smashed in. His ACL was done by a Hearts player. I agree. Cheney and Dessers had 54 goal contributions last season. That's a lot of goals we need to make up. Vardy's on 140 grand a week. Stephen, all Premier League players are on massive wages. Hamza and Turgeman and Danilo, if he could stay fit for those. Yeah, Turgeman would be a great buy. I agree with that one. Gordon says, why are we suddenly all against Barry Ferguson? He did his best after... I'm not against him, Gordon. I'm just saying that he got it wrong because he wasn't told the facts, which were, you're not getting the job. You've got no chance of getting the job. We don't want you as the manager. So help us by playing Bailey Rice. Help us by playing Finlay Curtis to see if we've got something for next season. Help us by playing Danilo and Cortez. He didn't do that. He stuck with the same 11 week in, week out because he genuinely thought he had a chance of the job, which he never did because he was a shockingly bad manager. Danilo, Hamza and Cheney played with Danilo. Bobby, those impact injuries will still keep him out of the team. True, that's not his fault though, Janet, is it, that he gets the shit kicked out of him? No loan deal for Danilo. Give him a chance. Dutch clubs want to pay 30% of his wages. We need to get him playing. William Martin says, can't sell Igaman or Danilo until we get a striker in the door. Can't rely on a single striker. Good point, William. We do need to sign a bloody striker. Igaman and Raskin should be the players we prioritise to hold on to, barring serious money. Barry Ferguson got a knockback for the Motherwell job, Alan says. I don't know about that, but yeah, if he... I mean, like I said, look, can I just get one thing straight? Before anyone comes on saying you're hating on Barry Ferguson, I'm not. Barry, the player, Barry, the captain, Barry, the trophy winner at Rangers, love him to bits. Club legend. As a player, club legend. As a manager, I wouldn't let him manage my local pub team. Genuinely wouldn't. That's how bad a manager he is. Look at his stats. Look at his stats. He never played Danilo, Igman, Nine or Cortez. He didn't, Bobby. And like I said, he was so obsessed with the fact he thought he was getting the job. Gordon says Hamza has potential but way off being on number 9. I disagree on that one. I think he could play there. Gordon, I honestly think that if you put Hamza as our number 9 at the end of last season, played him for the last 10 games as our number 9, he scores more goals than Dessers does. I hope Russell Martin gives Danilo game time. He's a good player, says Stephen Tennant. Look, I hope he gives a lot of the players, that didn't get the opportunity under Barry and kind of slipped out of it a little bit under Philly, a chance. Look, I've maintained this all year, that there is a core to this team that isn't that bad. There's a core to this team that's actually quite decent if they've got some better players around them. Sterling, when he's fit, is a good player. John Suter is a good player. Hefte is developing. Raskan is a top player. Diamonde is a good player. Barron is a good player. Danilo is a good player. Hamza is a good player. But you surround them with dross, and you surround them with players like, that have given up, what are you going to get? You're going to get shit. Danilo was in some sort of favour until he punched the seat when Cheney wouldn't come off against Fenerbahce. Then all of a sudden he wasn't showing the right attitude. Barry lost me. He was very selfish. I agree. First of all, what manager, when he makes the decision to make a change, lets the player overrule him? That's bad management. If you're a manager of an organisation, I'm a manager. That's what I do. I'm a retail manager, right? If I ask one of my colleagues to do something, and they turn around and refuse to do it, then they're straight in the office, they're told that that is not acceptable, and to find a new job and start doing what I tell them. Okay? That's the way it works. Now, Danilo was punched the back of the thing because he was frustrated. He wanted to come on. He wanted a chance to impress. That's not a bad attitude. That is not a bad attitude. John Gregg was a great player, a legend, but could not manage his dinner. That's what I mean. That's what I mean, mate. And I love John Gregg. I'm not slacking John Gregg off, but he was a shit manager. We're still going to have Tavernier in the building, Owen. We badly need a proper fit right back. A young guy who can play the boy from Dundee isn't a bad shout, to be honest. But Colin, I think if we've missed the start of the pod, Josh Mulligan is not coming. Rangers not interested anymore, mate. Barry Ferguson is not stupid. Deep down, he knew he would never get the job if he was honest with himself. Hopefully, Janet, but I don't know. Hi, mate, is it true we're closing on a centre-back? Edward, the talk is that, we're looking at Connor Cody, we're looking at Harry Darling. They're the two players that we're looking for, and we're looking at. They'd be great signings, mate. They'd be great signings. Unless you're Gaza, of course. Bluebells, Gaza, my favourite player of all time. Love him to bits. AI, take you to Barry's house, big fences and fancy gates, lol. We need a lot more pace in the team for it to work under Martin. Correct, Mays, we do need a lot more pace. I mean, that's why Poku's been looked at. That's why Turgeman's been looked at. These are quick, fast players, mate. These are good players with a lot of speed. So that's why they're being looked at, buddy. I think they will bring that thing. But on the Hamza, just to sort of bring the Hamza thing together, I think we can get a lot more from him if we hang on. A lot more for him if we hang on to him. So yeah, I think, look, there's a lot to look at. There's a lot to look at. Harvey, when are Rangers announcing Lyle Cameron? It will be after the 30th of June, mate, because his contract expires on the 30th of June. So we can't announce him as a Rangers player until his contract has gone by the by, mate. Until it's gone. So it doesn't, he's still under contract to Dundee until the 30th of June. Until that happens, we can't announce him, okay? We can't announce him. Leicester do want to sell Connor Cody. I think we can do a cut price deal for Connor Cody. I think he would be a good move. He'd be a leader at the back. We need leadership in this team. It is lacking. That is one thing that did lack at the end of the season, leadership, and we do need to address that 100%. We do need to address the lack of leadership in this club, and I think Connor Cody would be good. Cody Dramar for right back, please God, no. He is awful. What if it's Mulligan? Oh, in fuck's sake, it has to be another. Then Colin, I honestly think Tav still... Look, I'm going to put a prediction out there, guys. Here's a prediction, okay? James Tavernier will captain Rangers next season. Prediction number 1. Prediction number 2, James Tavernier will play 50-plus games for Rangers next season. Prediction number 2. Prediction number 3, which I'm not 1,000,000% on. I am on the first 2, but on the third prediction that he will get a 2-year extension. There you go. So he will play. So my predictions that I am I've got 2 predictions that I am confident of and one that I am 50-50 on. My first prediction that I am 100% confident on is that James Tavernier will be Rangers captain for the whole of next season, will lead us out in every single game. Well, not every single game, but the vast majority of games. Prediction number 2, James Tavernier will play 50-plus games for Rangers next season. And prediction number 3, which is my 50-50, that he'll get 2-year extension deal. That's what I've heard. Is it right? No. Do I agree with any of that? Fuck no. Get him out. Get rid of him. He just isn't fit anymore to be captain of Rangers. KF says Joe Rebo would take him back to me. So would I, mate. So would I. I'd take him back. He's a good footballer. Very, very talented footballer. Right, guys, that is it for tonight. We've gone over an hour. Thank you for watching Glasgow Raiders Nation here on this Saturday night. I'm going to go and check on my daughter. Hopefully Love Island's finished and I'm going to put up with it. Thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for all your support tonight. Phenomenal, as always. Guys, remember, never ever forget, we are the people.